Well, all I can assume is that he's telling us all to shove a light bulb up our asses, Gavin. I don't know. The man's an idiot. Ass.
The following podcast contains...
Only I didn't say fudge.
And for gosh sake, watch your language.
Watch your profanity.
Right, I'm sorry.
explicit language.
Hello and welcome to the podcast that asks a simple question. When you said, hey, go ahead, flip the switch. What's the worst that could happen? What the hell were you thinking? I'm your host, Nate Bledsoe, and this is a Friday, April 24th, 2020, some alternate universe edition of the show where we posit a theory on why things are the way they are. Stay tuned. The What the Hell Were You Thinking podcast is brought to you by a generic statement on COVID-19. In these troubled times, we understand some of you may be struggling with stress and anxiety of COVID-19 pandemic. The writers of this copy want you to know we are here for you. While we adjust to this new normal, we will take every measure to ensure the health and safety of our staff and you, the persons we are writing this generic statement to. We are not sure what a brand can provide in these anxious and fearful times, but rest assured, our teams of marketing analysts and copy professionals are doing everything in their power to write banal yet positive text to remind you that we exist and would very much like you to continue purchasing our products. As we all grapple with this new reality, the creators of this generic statement on COVID-19 want you to know we are all in this together. Stay safe, stay healthy. Sincerely, a generic statement on COVID-19.
There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarrely inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened.
5 or so years ago, the world seemed pretty normal. I mean, we were averaging a mass shooting every month or so, but for America, this was pretty normal.
Wait, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
The week I first hit published on this podcast, the strangest thing going on in America was the guy who used to be on the Wheaties box when I was a kid, telling the world that he was a woman. And that wasn't even all that strange because, well, fuck it. He can be a woman if he wants to be. What does that matter to anybody?
He is so woke.
5 years later, Caitlyn Jenner wouldn't even merit a late-night monologue reference because, well, you know, take a look around. And over the past 5 years, I documented the farcical, the absurd, the criminal, the comically incompetent, the bizarre, the idiotic, the factually challenged, and the just plain unfucking believable. I mean, I didn't set out to.
No, it just kind of happened.
And now the overwhelming evidence leads me to believe that something is deeply and profoundly wrong with the universe. For the preceding 45 years of my life, things mostly made sense. And even if I didn't understand why something happened, I could rest easily knowing that someone, somewhere did. Now, as I watch actual American citizens angrily protesting in public for the government to open up so they have the privilege of going back to work, so they can die to make a rich man richer, and the GOP politicians brazenly say that it's okay.
These people die. They die badly, publicly.
And not even blink when they do it. And it makes me think that somewhere in the universe, shit is all kinda.
Shit is all fucked up now.
Because we've crossed some sort of idiot threshold into a parallel universe of stupidity. I mean, people have always been stupid, but they're usually stupid in a selfish, greedy, or ignorant way. Now they're stupid because they disagree with someone politically about shit that really doesn't matter compared to, I don't know, say death or something. That got me thinking, what if that is actually what's going on?
Are you high right now?
Maybe a little drunk, but hear me out. Things were going along fine. The world was doing what the world has done for billions of years. The sun rose in the east, set in the west, water was wet, fire was hot, and people for the most part, during our time on this planet, steadily progressed from a state of ignorance to a state of knowledge. It was linear. 1 week we believed the sky god was cursing us for blasphemy with a thunderbolt hammer, and the next week some old dude is flying a kite with a key on it, and we understood that lightning is like when you scuff our feet across the carpet and touch a doorknob, only a shit ton bigger. We went from believing that illnesses was caused by bad vapors coming out of the ground to believing they were caused by an imbalance in our vital essences to understanding they were caused because we didn't
Wash them filthy hands.
We learned that if we'd washed our filthy hands, got our shots, and didn't fuck a sex worker without a condom, we could prevent most illnesses. And if we got a bareback a sex worker on a goof, we could get a shot and everything would be fine. But that was before shit like this happened.
I can't go between those houses. You can't buy paint. You can't buy lawn fertilizer or grass seed or whatever. I mean, come on. All statewide? Really?
You know, it's time for our state to be opened up. We're tired of not being able to buy the things that we need, go to the hairdressers, get our hair done.
In the past few years, humanity seems to be going in reverse. Instead of greater understanding, some of us are intentionally questioning long-established scientific facts because
I really don't like them.
Which, hey, I get. I'm not a big fan of the fact that I'm slowly getting older, fatter, and closer to death, but my dislike of those facts will not change those facts. But some folks have decided that because they don't like a fact means they don't have to believe in that fact, which is the definition of being really fucking stupid. A lot of people like to think that stuff like this has happened before, but really it hasn't. Some people believe that after the fall of the Western Roman Empire, people got dumber and more superstitious, but in reality, they were always dumb and superstitious because only a small number of people knew things about science and medicine. And when Rome fell, that knowledge didn't just disappear, it was being communicated still, and it was growing and expanding in the Eastern Roman Empire, which most of you have never heard of. It wasn't that one day people knew something and the next day they decided not to know it. They never knew it in the first place. But in this situation, people know things. Like, say, measles vaccines keep people from getting the measles. And then they just decided one day that,
Well, fuck that.
and they didn't want to believe it anymore. And then they get mad at those of us who tell them that they should believe it and say things like this.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
This is how I figured out something was broken in the universe. People for a long time have gotten upset that they personally weren't believed when they said something stupid and outrageous. Many modern cults and niche religions are based on one dude getting very angry that someone did not believe him when he said God had a plan and they should all follow him. So that guy, that weirdo, that nut job, went out and found other stupider or crazier people who would believe in them. But only within the past few years have the stupid people with outrageous ideas decided that not only are they right, but the rest of us should be forced to accept their way of thinking. And if we don't...
I swear to God, I will sue you and everyone in this building.
And the politicians were all like, oh, what are you going to do? It's America. Clearly, things are not normal. And I think you know what happened as a result of these abnormalities.
I thought it'd be interesting.
In 2011, you might remember that Barack Obama and Seth Meyers committed a murder right there on live on C-SPAN for like 8 or 9 people to see.
No, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
Everyone laughed and laughed and laughed at him again. But this was in 2011. So, it wasn't that strange. But some people said that was when Donald Trump decided he was going to run for president. But again, in 2011, the very idea that he could run, much less win, was impossible because the world made sense. But then everything changed. In 2012, a convergence of prophecy, science, and mysticism that took place that wiped away the boundaries between reality and fantasy. You guys remember 2012, right? You should have fucking known something was up when fucking Kodak went bankrupt in January. One of the longest standing, most reliable companies in history. Yeah, Whitney Houston dead in a bathtub. Bobby nowhere to be found. Obama had to release his goddamn long-form birth certificate to prove he wasn't a Kenyan. And Mitt Romney failed to unseat Obama as president, even though everyone on Fox News was sure he would. The signs were all there, people. Because 2012 was the end of the long count calendar. Now, a lot of people back in 2012 believed that the end of the long count meant the end of the world, but clearly the world did not end in December of 2012. But what the scholars said was the date was not the end of the world, but a reset, a start of a new count, a new world. What if we are living in that new world now? A stupid world where people are getting progressively dumber with each passing year. What would you say to that?
I would say you're a madman.
Really? What if I told you about time wave zero? Would that change your mind? Quote, time wave zero is a numerological formula that purports to calculate the ebb and flow of novelty, defined as the increase over time of the universe's interconnectedness or its organized complexity. Terence McKenna claimed that the universe has a teleological attractor at the end time that increases interconnectedness. He believed this would eventually reach a singularity of infinite complexity in 2012, at which point everything, anything, and everything unimaginable would occur simultaneously. He conceived this idea over several years in the early to mid-1970s while using psilocybin mushrooms and DMT. Later, McKenna would express novelty in a computer program which produces a waveform known as time wave zero, or the time wave. Based on McKenna's interpretation of the King Wen sequence of the I Ching, an ancient Chinese book of divination, the graph purports to show periods of novelty corresponding with major shifts in humanity's biological and socio-cultural revolution. He believed that the events at any given time are resonated related to events in other times, and chose the atomic bombing of Hiroshima as the basis for calculating its end date of November 2012. When he later discovered this date's proximity to the end of the 13th Bakun of the Maya calendar, he revised his hypothesis so that the two dates matched, unquote.
You are tripping your balls off.
What about the galactic alignments, huh? Some people interpret the galactic alignment apocalyptically, claiming that its occurrence would somehow create a combined gravitational effect between the sun and a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy known as Sagittarius A, creating havoc on the Earth. When? Again, in 2012.
Coincidence? I think not.
Should I even bring up Nibiru?
Oh, please, God. Please don't let this happen.
Or the photon belt, which predicted the form of interaction between Earth and Alcyone, the largest star of the Pleiades cluster? What about Betelgeuse? The star that keeps trying to explode, not the guy that appears if you say his name 3 times. That's Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, something different. Or how about the X-Files, which pinned the date for the alien colonization of Earth when? That's right, 2012. Now, right now, you're sitting there saying, but Dave, none of that happened. To which I say, right? But do you know what did happen, my friends? Do you know what broke the universe?
This is a very, very preliminary result, but we think it's very strong. It's very solid. Otherwise, we wouldn't present it. And we've slowly, as we've gathered data, rediscovered the standard model to more and more rare processes, and basically we're very confident now that we can go after the rarest, which is the Higgs. If we combine the ZZ and gamma gamma, this is what we get. They line up extremely well, and in the region of 125 GeV, they combine to give us a combined significance of 5 standard deviations.
Now, I don't know what any of that means, but those scientists in that video got very, very excited about it. From how stuff works, quote, particles are the microscopic elements that make up everything in the universe. The subatomic particles, like protons and electrons, are even smaller than atoms. What CERN is trying to find out is how the universe works by studying the building blocks of all matter, as well as the fundamental forces that make them work the way they do, like gravity. In order to do that, the scientists at CERN accelerate 2 high-energy particle beams close to the speed of light inside the Large Hadron Collider, which is supercooled by electromagnets to minus 271.3 degrees Celsius or 456.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the particles reach the proper speed, they are made to collide, and the scientists and physicists observe the results. These experiments have proven the existence of the Higgs boson, as well as helped us better understand the neutral particles called neutrinos. But could the Large Hadron Collider and CERN also be at the heart of potentially planet-destroying experiments? Theories run rampant, but when the collider was experiencing setbacks and delays in the early 2000s, some thought that perhaps a time traveler from the future was returning to the past to deliberately sabotage it in order to prevent some disaster. This supposed time traveler tried everything, including a time-traveling bird with a baguette, but the collider was turned on in 2012 anyway. Other theories accuse CERN of causing earthquakes by sending plasma from Switzerland to Italy at high speeds, opening portals into hell or other dimensions, and shifting the world into an alternate timeline. In 2015, CERN even admitted it's attempted to create tiny black holes so scientists can study antimatter. CERN insists its research, including that of microscopic black holes, is perfectly safe. But there are some theorists that believe it could cause a collapse of the entire universe. And because these scientists were so busy playing God, they broke the barriers that keep stupid, crazy shit from happening. And look where we are now. What I'm saying is the Large Hadron Collider was the culmination of the long count, the time wave zero, and fucking Nibiru.
Dave, are you okay?
I am not. From BigThink.com, quote, in 2012, another blogger caused a Mandela effect splash over the spelling of the titles in the children's book, The Berenstain Bears. She remembers it vividly from her childhood as the Berenstain Bears, complete with how the letters on the book cover looked. And it turned out that many people had the same memory as well, unquote. I do too. And so do you. Admit it. You know all those books were named Berenstain. Looney Tunes was with 2 O's. Curious George always had a fucking tail. And there's a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo. The universe is fucking broken, and CERN broke it. People are living in the wrong timeline, and they need to fix it right fucking now. Now, CERN would like you to believe that there's nothing wrong.
We are not living in an alternate reality, in case you were worried. That's according to physicists at the European Organization of Nuclear Research, or CERN for short. A spokesperson with the agency was responding to a trending idea that experiments at CERN caused the world to shift into an alternate reality in which Donald Trump became president. Believers in the strange theory cite the Mandela effect, a phenomena that occurs when large groups of people believe something that isn't true. They believe the effect has become more common since CERN began staging its experiments. The bottom line, rest assured the physicists have labeled this as fake news.
Aha! Fake news. That's the tell right there, because before 2012, no one said fake news. We all just called it bullshit. But now, when people hear something they don't like, they call it fake news, even if it's real. You think that would happen in a normal universe? But if there's nothing wrong, if the universe has not changed into a place where the stupid is exponentially increasing, like COVID infections in a Georgia tattoo parlor, then explain, 1, why fucking tattoo parlors are opening in Georgia, and 2, how the fuck this happened.
A question that probably some of you are thinking of if you're totally into that world, which I find to be very interesting. So, supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light. And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting.
We'll get the right folks who could.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
before CERN turned on the Large Hadron Collider and found this Higgs boson, we didn't live in a universe where the President of the United States could stand at a podium in the White House and tell the American people that maybe they should get light inside their bodies, presumably by shoving a light bulb in their asshole, and then mainline Lysol. We didn't live in a universe where Lysol would immediately need to issue a statement telling America not to inject fucking Lysol into their bodies, which is the thing they did immediately after the shithead said that, because we live in a universe where people are now stupid, so painfully fucking stupid, that they might actually do this because the President of the United States told them it might work. Across the country, politicians and citizens are demanding we open back up while the virus rages on. They are so fucking stupid they believe that the virus isn't where they are right now. It will never be there. They moan and complain about not being able to get haircuts or play golf or eat at the fucking Applebee's while people are actively dying. They cite studies they don't understand by people with no expertise in virology saying the virus is no worse than the flu, when the seasonal death total of the flu is about to be eclipsed by the death totals from the virus in 5 fucking weeks of exposure. They tell people living at ground zero that we are overreacting and drinking the Kool-Aid, and then when you ask them,
why you all up in my Kool-Aid not even knowing the flavor?
They call you a cuck. Americans were always stupid, but this level of stupidity, this level of willful idiocy, this level of fuckery, because you know it's not natural. It has to be the result of some fundamental disruption in the natural order of things, and I think it was CERN finding the Higgs boson. It broke the universe, and all we can do is wait for us to get so stupid again that we forget about discovering the Higgs boson and start the process all over again. Shit. We've probably been doing this loop for millions of years, slowly getting smarter. Then boom, Higgs boson, and we slowly get stupid again, forget about the Higgs boson, and boom, we start all over again. That is the long count right there. They were right in 2012. They just didn't know that they were right about it or how they were right. And I know you're sitting there right now saying to yourself,
that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard.
Is it though? Is it? Is it really dumber than injecting yourself with Lysol to prevent a disease? Is it dumber than needing a tattoo so badly that you would go get one during a pandemic? Is it dumber than the mayor of Las Vegas saying that we should open casinos while people are dying from a disease spread by close contact? Is it dumber than the entire idea of a know-nothing dipshit con man that only exists in the universe because the universe was already really fucking stupid, getting elected president so he could tell his cult of constituents to shovel a table lamp in their ass to shine a light on a virus? Is it? I don't think so, and I rest my case. That is it for our show this week. We are back, baby, swinging at the fences and fouling out every damn time, just like you've come to expect from this low-rated podcast. Clearly, I do not actually believe CERN broke the universe because I'm a student of science and I know the universe is fine. It's humanity that is fundamentally broken. Speaking of fundamentally broken, rate and review the show wherever you get your pods. In these troubled times, it would help you know that finding the show will make others feel just as fundamentally broken as you do right now at the end of this one. Follow the show on Twitter, @hell_podcast, on the show name on Facebook. All of the episodes are pretty much everywhere now. We're like asymptomatic carriers like that. Check out the whatthehellwerethinking.com for some quick bits on the show you can put up on your social to let people know you have bad taste in podcasts. So for me, Dave, not from Guilford at all, but from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Buggeist Bledsoe, producer Prostetnet Vogon Gavin, and all the fictional Eddie, the shipboard computers on the show, we want to say some alternate universe exists where things are not as stupid as they are here. And we'll see you all next week.
You can I have no ending for this, so I take a small bow.